my dad, we lost the old city in 1958. And my dad made a promise that he will be the first Jew to come and settle in the old city once it's in our hands back. And that was quite a promise because the Jordanian army was highly trained. The commanders was actually British commanders. The people who protect the old city was maybe old and children. I think actually the youngest soldier, not only a civilian, who died in combat was here. The old city was 10 years old. Just show you the fighters here. So my dad made this promise and came the 6-day war, 1967. My dad was fighting in the Egyptian border and he heard that the paratroopers are here. And he said to his commander, please let me go. I want to join the paratrooper in the old city because I promised to buy a land there. So he said, we're soon going to reach the Suez Canal. As soon as we get, we can go. So they reached the Suez Canal and my dad got a special leave. He came here to the old city. The fight was already over. And my dad is walking here right after the fight. There were still a few snipers here and there, but he spoke good Arabic. And he asked who's ready to sell a place. Well, there was one Arab guy who bought his property. Now bear in mind that this is a Jewish property. They've been forced out, and mainly Arab from Hebron, etc. came in and just got into those vacant places, apartment. Yet my dad didn't want to force them out. He wanted to pay. So he said it was ready to sell, and one guy who bought it 2 weeks earlier was ready to sell. Now, it was a great location for us. He didn't know that. It was on the way. Well, it's not a parking lot. It's on the way to the Kotel. So we make a contract in Arabic. We buy the land, and the guy take the money and move to Jordan, open a restaurant there, and we became friends afterwards. So here we are now one family. It wasn't even a family. First was my father and myself. I was 9 years old, and my mother and the younger 2 children said they will come later. It was also very risky because when my dad bought this land, it was all the money we had. So my dad first called my mother and said, this is all the money we have. We're going to have to sell our own home, etc. And people say, why do you buy it? Soon we're going to have to pull back, because we had this experience in 1956. We managed to get into Sinai and then we forced out. So in 1956 we got into Sinai, Gaza, etc. And Britain, mainly Britain, the United States also forced us out. So you're spending all this money, and my mother's answer was to my dad, said, if we'll fall together. And that's what he said. If she would have said no, it's 3 little kids, he wouldn't take the risk. Somehow we have to make a living, etc. But she said, I'll follow you. And she did follow slightly later. So first it was me and my dad, was the old home. And my dad was also an artist and he made some sculpture. We started to show the artwork. Yet for the first 3-4 days, 5 days, 6 days, I don't know, nobody came in. No, there was thousands of people. People started to walk all the way to the Kotel. It was a major thing to see the wall after so many years we couldn't get in, but nobody coming to us because nobody even imagined that there is a Jewish family here, and of course not a gallery. In the desperation, my dad made a big sign. I remember helping him doing it with some paint. And the name of the gallery, my dad titled the gallery the Old City Art Gallery. So he made a huge sign and put it on the roof of the building and said the Old City Art Gallery. That city, he wrote deliberately with an S. Then the magic happened. Every British, American, Canadian, Australian who was on the way to the wall stopped to tell us we had a spelling mistake. I came in to say, sir, city you write with a C. So my dad smiled and welcomed them with a cup of coffee and water. Before you know, they start to schmooze, and suddenly you start to see people walking up to the Kotel with 2 paintings, and that was the beginning.